K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com. The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98talk.com.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election debts to those who will take. Attorney General's lying even while
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, folks. Well, happy Tuesday evening. This is Rick Robinson. I'm the host of America Off the Rails, and you are listening to us live right now on K98Talk.com. Also out through TuneIn through K98Talk.com. Also podcasts available through iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Spreaker. Sorry. The joys of trying to do a radio show so close to the end of your day job means occasionally things don't go the way they're supposed to. So yes, we have had a later start than usual today because I had to line out a few things before I could do the show. But we do have a lot on tap for you today. Because of that, we're going to go ahead and go commercial free for the remainder of the first half hour. So I'd like to give a shout out to one of our sponsors that we name whenever we decide to not play our first set of breaks, which is Rolling on the Floor, LaughingMyButtOff.com. I don't know about you guys, but I have a really stressful day job, and I have a wife and children, and I also spend my spare time studying about politics and gearing up for radio shows and producing them. So occasionally, you just have to take a second to smile, laugh, and move on. So my suggestion is if you are addicted to this political junkie stuff like I am, occasionally you do have to get away from it. So I would do the following. Rolling on the Floor, LaughingMyButtOff.com. It's really easy to find. You take the first letter of each one of those words and put a www with a dot in the front of each one of those letters and then a .com on the back. You'll find new content added, also very funny stuff that's already there, so we do encourage you to check it out. All right, so for the first part of the show now, we don't really need to take a commercial break because I just gave a shout-out to a sponsor. So that buys us some of the time that we've lost. We'll still be coming to a close pretty close to 7 o'clock because, unfortunately, even when I start late, I'm trying to hold myself to the hour format like everybody else. Occasionally, I will give somebody a go over your limit card because there may not be something on after them, and technically I could play that card now. But I think I can get most of what I wanted to say in the shortened format anyway. So first of all, I want to give everybody a big thank you for tuning in. Those of you that are making K98 Talk stronger and better, I do want to give a thanks to each one of you who tune in on a regular basis to all of our shows. Big shout out to Red Nation Rising. They come over not tomorrow, but the day after. I do want to take a second to again talk about something that's affecting the K98 Talk family. Polita Bunny. I know a lot of you that listen to me know who she is. We follow each other on Twitter. We've been friends now on Twitter for probably about getting pretty close to a year. I'm just going to be honest. I didn't know what to think about her at first until I actually got to know her because her radio personality and her Twitter personality are a lot different than who she truly is personally. And part of that is I think that the bunny with the chainsaw kind of became her shtick. So, trying to promote that brand and build that brand, she has managed to irritate some not-so-nice people on Twitter who have over the course of the last several months, started making personal attacks against her. They have threatened her children, threatened her family, and I, for one, I can't stand for it. Now, I have to tell you, in the interest of full disclosure, she is not determined whether she is going to remain an active participant on Twitter, or even, for that matter, keep her radio show that is currently broadcast here on K98Talk.com. I do have to tell you that I have not tried to persuade her or dissuade her from her decision in any way, shape, or form. I have been there as a sounding board when she's reached out to me, and that is my only intention. So whatever her decision is, I will respect it. But I do also want to give a shout out to someone who has started an initiative right here on Twitter. And I want to give you a little bit of information about it and encourage you to look it up. You may know who this is. He actually was mentioned during Grouchy's interview with Ambassador Bolton. He goes by Colonel Obvious on Twitter. You can find him there. He's actually spearheading a project against bullies on Twitter. So if you'd like more information about that, go ahead and find his Twitter feed, look him up, and see what all of that is about. I personally think that in this day and age, the biggest problem that we have is everybody's turned into bullies, and I talked about that some yesterday. We don't have anybody anymore that can disagree with you without turning it into a personal fight of some kind, and taking it personal, and making it personal, whether it should be or not. We should be able to have rational discourse on Twitter with the people that we disagree with. We should be able to explain to them why we disagree with them. We should be able to cite facts when we have facts to support why we disagree with them, and they should respond in kind. But this whole, well, I don't like your argument, so I'm going to attack you, or I'm going to expose who you truly are, because a lot of folks on social media, they use social media anonymously, because we now have all of these policies in place from your employers that if they find out you're using social media in a way that annoys people or hurts somebody's feelings, you may or may not wind up losing your job. Pardon me, I live near an Air Force base, and occasionally, no matter how quiet I try to make it around this place, you'll still hear the plane. It's rattling my chest, so I know it's broadcasting. Now, that being said, big hat tip to Colonel Obvious for starting the program. I'll do whatever I can to help. Just let me know every step along the way what it is that you need. As I've said, I'm not going to make anybody on my network participate, but as far as I'm concerned, the entire network is available at your disposal for those who choose to participate or help you promote. So what happens next is up to you and each one of them individually, but I did want to give a shout out about it. Okay, so that being said, again, I don't know what's going to happen with Bunny, and it's ultimately her decision. So whatever she decides, I respect her decision. I consider her a very strong person. I may not always agree with her tactics. Again, I'm just being honest. There are times that I think she pushes the line a little too far, but that's part of the reason why she probably has nearly 60 some odd thousand followers, and I don't. So while I can't really fault her for it, saying if it were me, I would do things a little differently. But it's not me. So all I can do is say I support whatever her ultimate decision is, and I hope each and every one of you will as well. Now, before we get into the two major topics that I really wanted to talk about today, I do have to say something about the Jenner formerly known as Bruce. Yes, I said it that way because I don't understand the hoopla. I really don't. Okay, so the guy feels like he should have been born a woman. He has plastic surgery to correct this. Why do we need to put him or her on a pedestal? The simple fact of the matter is, I personally don't feel like God makes those kind of mistakes. But I can't hold everybody to those standards. So again, why are we putting him on a pedestal or her on a pedestal? It's all anybody's been talking about. Every time I turn on the radio, somebody's talking about it today. Every time I turn on the news, somebody's talking about it today. And I just think there's so many more important things we should be focusing on. So the last thing I'm going to say about the Jenner formerly known as Bruce is I hope you're happy in whatever decision that you've made. Now that you've made your decision, can you please go back to obscurity where you belong? Okay, thanks, bye. Okay, so now, because we are already almost up against a commercial break, I'll probably go ahead and take it a couple minutes early just to give us room to talk about what I wanted to talk about for the last part of the show, and then we'll be right back with you here in just a couple seconds. I didn't realize we had already been on for that long, so bear with me for just one moment while we get a couple things lined out here. Alright folks, this is Rick Robinson. We're going to go ahead and take the break a couple minutes early. We'll be right back with you here after these few commercials to get into the meat of the show. Thanks for everybody who's tuning in. We'll be right back.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, for Game On. Remember,
Lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of conservative conservatism.
Where no one is safe and no one is spared. Not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right
Ebola
anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Has to do with
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
This is Misty, owner of Wax It Studio in Edmond, Oklahoma, and I'm here to talk to you about a skincare product called Theramedics. Theramedics has a wonderful line of products from anti-aging to hyperpigmentations all the way to acne. In fact, everyone at some point in our life is affected by acne. Acne can cause a great deal of embarrassment and anxiety, and in order to prevent and help other people, I have tapped into this wonderful product called Theramedics. Visit my website at www.prettyskindeep.com. Again, that's www.prettyskindeep.com.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
There's a wild, wild whisper blowing in the wind, calling out my name like a long lost friend.
Alright folks, we are back, we are live, we are now officially into what will be the last half hour of the show here, right here on KNWTalk.com. I'm Rick Robinson, this is America Off the Rails, let's get down to it. Okay, so something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Rand Paul has managed to piss off pretty much every RINO in DC. And I want to actually listen to what he said that wound up causing that to happen. So I do have something we're going to queue up here in just a second, which is actually an excerpt from an interview that he did where he gives his opinion on what exactly has caused ISIS. So let's go ahead and listen to that. It's going to run for about 47 seconds, and we'll talk about it.
Lindsey Graham would say ISIS exists because of people like Rand Paul, who said, let's not go into Syria. And what do you say to Lindsey?
I would say it's exactly the opposite. ISIS exists and grew stronger because of the hawks in our party who gave arms indiscriminately, and most of those arms were snatched up by ISIS. These hawks also wanted to bomb Assad, which would have made ISIS's job even easier. They created these people. ISIS is all over Libya because these same hawks in my party loved Hillary Clinton's war in Libya. They just wanted more of it. But Libya is a failed state, and it's a disaster. Iraq really is a failed state, or a vassal state now of Iran. So everything that they've talked about in foreign policy, they've been wrong about for 20 years, and yet they have somehow the gall to keep saying and pointing fingers otherwise.
All right, so let's go back over that again. Hang on, let's cue this first part up, and then we're going to talk, and then we'll actually pause it because I want to kind of go through this piece by piece.
Lindsey Graham would say ISIS exists because of people like Rand Paul, who said, let's not go into Syria. And what do you say to Lindsey?
I would say it's exactly the opposite. ISIS exists and grew stronger because of the hawks in our party who gave arms indiscriminately, and most of those arms were snatched up by ISIS.
Okay, so what's false about that statement? I'm just curious. That statement right there, that ISIS grew stronger because we have people inside the Republican Party who like to basically hand out weapons like it's Halloween candy. And instead of the weapons getting where they were supposed to go, ISIS has them. So again, I have a question. What part of this statement is false?
Because of the hawks in our party who gave arms indiscriminately, and most of those arms were snatched up by ISIS.
I don't hear anything false there. You know, I've come to the conclusion, and it's taken me a long time to get there. People do not want to hear the truth. They want to be spoon-fed party rhetoric, and they want you to pat them on the head and say, you're a good little Republican soldier. Here's your banner. Go take it out and do some more damage. That's what they want. The other side's the exact same way. They want to be good little Democrats and good little Republicans. I have to tell you, first and foremost, I am a conservative. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat, but I am a conservative. But I also happen to have some libertarian tendencies. So lately I've come to call myself either a conservatarian or a libertarian with a small L, because there are certain things that I don't agree with when it comes to the Libertarian Party. Now I have to tell you, and I've said this before, in a perfect world, I think we should not be able to be the police force of the world. The problem is we don't live in a perfect world. Somebody made that decision for us a long time ago. Now that that decision's been made, if you'll notice, this president started trying to pull that stuff back. It's like, yeah, no, maybe we shouldn't be so active everywhere else. Look what's happening. Look what's happening. It's happening because we have an inept administration, and we have a bunch of money-hungry Republicans who like to throw weapons around like they're, again, Halloween candy. And before anybody starts hating me and sending me hate mail, Rick at K98Talk.com. The Democrats did it too. Fast and Furious, anybody? Still pretty sure if we really ever got to the truth about what happened in Benghazi, there were probably some weapons involved there, as he mentions here in just a second. You know, there's certain folks that liked the whole thing that was going on in Libya with Hillary, but let's let him say it.
Talks also wanted to bomb Assad, which would have made ISIS's job even easier.
They created these people.
ISIS is all over Libya because these same hawks in my party loved Hillary Clinton's war in Libya. They just wanted more of it. But Libya is a failed state, and it's a disaster. Iraq really is.
Okay, so again, not really too much you can argue with. The simple fact of the matter is, there are folks in the Republican Party that like the fact that we were dealing with Libya the way we were. You know, and I hate to say this, and again, hindsight is 20/20. Looking back, now that we've had 14 years to look back at it, I honestly have to tell you, I think we would probably be better off if Saddam Hussein was still in power. As much as I hate to say that, And as much as it makes me angry to have to utter those words, I think we flubbed up. Yes, he was a despicable person. Yes, he did terrible things to his people. And I understand that he thumbed his nose at authority. And even back then, I was one of the ones going, hey, no, look, we need to do this because if we don't do this, the UN is going to seem irrelevant. I'm kind of thinking I screwed up on that one too, because how many of us would like to see the UN be irrelevant right now? Yeah, go ahead, raise your hand. Oh yeah, I see you there in the back. Okay, I mean, yeah, you over there too. Yeah, see, I'm not the only one who's like, maybe we should have just let the UN implode and not be able to do anything, because look at what they're doing now. Grouchy's interview with Bolton touched on just the surface of it. There are so many people inside the UN that don't care what happens to us and don't even like the idea of a capitalist country, because they can't have a capitalist country if they're going to wind up being able to bring in a new world order and a single world government, which there are a lot of folks behind the scenes. That's exactly what they want to do. So, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to blindly follow party lines? Are we supposed to blindly and blandly pick up our red banners and our blue banners and march off to war? Or are we supposed to be able to tell folks, look, I don't think this is a good idea, and not have the fear of being attacked, belittled, made fun of, or bullied? When did the idea for rational discourse in this country stop? When did it stop? Where did it go? How did it change? That's what I want to know. That's what you guys can give me feedback on that too. Hit me up on Twitter. You can follow me at @double_R_OKC. You can hit me up at email, rick@k98talk.com. You can follow me, you can friend me on Facebook. Just search Roddy Ricky Robinson. I'll be right there. Not on that profile that often, because it is one that I specifically use usually when I'm on air, but since I self-produce, I really don't have time to monitor it very much. And it's, as of now, not tied to my phone. I will be fixing that shortly. But if you send me a friend request there, occasionally we can talk, hang out. You can shoot me information, share stuff with me, and if there's anything that you want me to know, feel free. Now, all of that being said, again, back to my original question. When did it not become okay to disagree? Because here's the thing. When the Republican president was in power and people were disagreeing with him, the Republicans were all up in arms because people were disagreeing. They weren't being patriotic. They weren't being supportive. They needed to understand what was really going on. Then the Democrats were all like, "Oh, it's patriotic to disagree. We have the right to disagree with our leaders. That's what makes this country great." And then the shoe went on the other foot. And then all the Republicans are like, "Oh, no, all this stuff is bad." And all the Dems are like, no, good. Republicans are racist. They don't understand. So what happens? Why can we not be somewhere in the middle? Because I have to tell you, the one thing I think my state's done right, we are, at least at last count, the reddest state in the country. I say that because large pockets of Texas are starting to turn purple. So I'm not sure how long it's going to remain red. Well, only time will tell. Now, that being said, all during this last election, 77 counties were red. The reason 77 counties were red is because most of them, probably about 88% of them, that call themselves Democrats in my state would still be considered Republicans everywhere else. Because we've learned to put aside a lot of the party BS. The simple fact of the matter is, we know we want smaller, limited government. We know we don't want crazy spending. And we know we want the national government not to completely have their thumb over our education system. So we start trying to find ways to make that happen at the state and the local levels. So there are some things that I really, really like about my state. Probably next week we'll talk about some of the things that I really, really don't like about my state. But, I have to give them props where props are due. Simple fact of the matter is, in my state, even most Democrats here would be considered conservatives everywhere else. So that's one of the reasons why we are the reddest state in the country, because half the time even the blue folks vote red when it matters. Now, I know I have a lot of liberal friends, and right now, if they're listening, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe he's talking about this. I hate conservatives. Conservatives are stupid. That's kind of my point. I have liberal friends. I don't go out of my way to attack them. I don't make fun of their ideas. I try to talk to them about their ideas, because I thought that was the point of things like social media and these shows and everything else that we're trying to do, is to bring rational discourse back to politics, and to bring rational discourse from the American people back to politics. You know, those of us that are supposed to be the bosses, you know, the ones that are theoretically supposed to run everything as far as those documents are concerned that nobody listens to anymore. Yeah, we're supposed to be the bosses. So that brings me to a segue for a promo for one of tomorrow's shows. Grouchy will have a guest on who is involved in the movement to have as soon as I try to give a promo about it, my brain loses the idea. Anyway, states' rights, basically. There's an amendment to the Constitution where they can actually do states convention. That's what it is, a convention of the states. So Grouchy will have somebody on with him tomorrow that will be discussing that during the last half of the show on the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. For tomorrow, again, because we still don't know the ultimate fate of Miss Bunny, her show will be a replay, and likely she has already informed me that at least next week's show will be a replay as well. Feel free to tune in anyway to give her support. If nothing else, this is what I would like to ask of all of you, because I know a lot of you on Twitter listen to me, even if you listen to me in a replay. I want her numbers for the next 2 weeks on the show to be crazy. I'm talking as many people as we can get tuned in to be tuned in, so that she knows that we're still supporting her. I want you guys to keep doing what you're doing and to retweet the pictures that Grouchy and I have put together, because we each had the same idea at around the same time and made slightly different pictures. Get people to show their support for her. Let's show her that she still matters to us, because she doesn't feel like she matters anymore. And she's my friend, first and foremost. So whatever she decides to do, I'm going to support her decision. But I still want her to know that she matters. And I hope she matters to each and every one of you that listen to us on a regular basis. So if she does, again, I'm not asking you to pick up a sword, or in this case a chainsaw, and go chase down a troll. Although, believe me, I have considered it. Because that's just the kind of background I come from. People start messing with people that I care about, and things usually go bad, because that's how I roll. I mean, I used to kick in doors for a living. I mean, come on, you know, I mean, how much crap can you take before you just finally decide you've had enough? But, you know, that's one of the things that I've had to adjust. And that's one of the reasons why occasionally I forget how hard some people can take these things on social media, because I'm used to dealing with people face to face that hate me, that tell me they're going to kill me, that honestly have tried to kill me. So, you know, social media and telephone, all that fun stuff, yeah, that doesn't really faze me, because I'm used to dealing with it in person. But I have to understand that each person is an individual, each person is different, and we're going to react to things differently, so I can't hold anybody else to the same standards that I hold myself to. Which is why ultimately, even though I don't fully understand it, I will support Miss Sam Janney in whatever she decides she's going to do. Because she's the one that has to deal with the fear every day. She's the one that has to deal with the trepidation every day, and I don't want to be the one to force her to do that, or to even feel like I'm remotely forcing her to do that. And I know I keep coming back to this, but folks, I'm sorry. She's a friend of mine. I truly consider her a friend, and I have never met her in person. But we have talked so many times, and she's come to my aid when people were being stupid with me, and I have done the same for her. Not as much as I probably should have, apparently, but I have done the same for her. So I consider her a friend. So if you, like me, consider her a friend, find one of our Twitter accounts. Feel free to copy the Avi that Grouchy and I are both using that now is being used by several other people, and let's show her that she matters. Let's show her that she matters by making sure that these next 2 shows, even though they're going to be replays, have some of the best numbers that we've seen over here. And for her numbers, that's going to take a lot of you. So let's get the word out there. All right, so let's go ahead and finish this up, and then a couple of other things I want to talk about real quick before we shut it down.
A failed state or a vassal state now of Iran. So everything that they've talked about in foreign policy they've been wrong about for 20 years, and yet they have somehow the gall to keep saying and pointing fingers otherwise.
Everything they've talked about foreign policy, they've been wrong for 20 years. Is that a true statement? I'm not so sure on that one. I have to tell you that at least for about the last 15, I'm really starting to wonder. Just to be honest, because, yes, we did what we did in Iraq with the best of intentions. We knew he had weapons of mass destruction. And you can yell and scream at your computer right now all you want, because I know I've got liberals that listen to me too, especially now that we're syndicated through AM/FM 24/7, and the show does occasionally go out over AM/FM. I know I've got liberals that shout at their radios or their phones or their tablets or their computers and tell me that I'm full of crap. We know for a fact he had weapons of mass destruction. How do we know for a fact that he had weapons of mass destruction? Because there were multiple administrations from both Democrats and Republicans that said, we know he has these weapons. We need to be able to inspect these weapons, and he's not letting us do it. Should we have done what we did and completely deposed him or completely torn the country apart? I'm not so sure. Because exactly what we were told was going to happen is happening now. But the simple fact of the matter is there is one person that knew that this was going to happen. That ISIL was going to be an issue if we removed ourselves from Iraq too soon. So since we did go in and depose Saddam and remove his regime, we should have stayed the course until Iraq was done. We didn't do that. Instead, we had President Obama, who took victory lap after victory lap after victory lap on national TV talking about how he was the president who ended the Iraq war, but we have a president before him who rather prophetically a few years prior mentioned that if we left Iraq too soon, it was going to be a disaster. I've played the clip on the show before. We're running out of time, so I'm not going to play it again. I do have a couple other things I wanted to talk about just because I kind of thought they were a little funny. I don't usually give the president good press, but I have to admit, a couple weeks ago, he was on Jimmy Kimmel, and this is one of the things one of the snippets from what he actually said that I thought was at least relatively entertaining. So I thought we would listen to it and then talk about it.
So, when you're at home, can you run down to the kitchen in your underpants in the middle of the night if you're hungry?
I mean, I could. I don't.
You don't?
No.
Is there someone in the kitchen at all times? Like, if you wanted a sandwich in the night, would you have to wake someone up?
Yeah, I wouldn't wake somebody up to have a sandwich.
You're allowed to go in the refrigerator on your own?
I am. There's a refrigerator and there's silverware.
When was the last time you actually cooked?
Now, it's been a while since I cooked.
It has been a while.
It has been a while. I won't lie about that.
Do you ever drive?
I cannot drive. I mean, I'm able to drive.
Is it because you don't have a birth certificate?
Yeah, exactly. In Kenya, we drive on the other side of the street. Actually, the last time I drove, a former staffer came by, and he comes through the South Lawn, and he's got one of these new electric cars. At the time, they were new.
Yeah.
And he was very excited about it. I said, well, yeah, let's try it out. So I just grab his keys, and we just go out. It's parked right in front. And I start circling the South Lawn. And the Secret Service, no matter what you do, do not let him out. And they were pretty upset.
They call you renegade, right?
They
Is
do.
that there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're tooling around in an electric car, topping speeds of 30 miles an hour.
Yeah. I think we have 35. Yeah.
If you have to go to the dentist, do you go to the dentist?
No,
or does
dentist comes to me.
Dentist comes to you. Do you have the chair, the tools, and you
got the
spin
whole
on the
chair,
floor?
everything is all there set up.
Everything is there?
Yeah, in the basement. I didn't know. I showed up. I said, I think, I've got a cap that's loose. Sir, here we are.
Do you reset the clocks when daylight saving time happens?
Somebody else does that for me.
Somebody does that for you. Will you get rid of daylight saving time? Or at least get rid of the part where we have to wake up earlier? You can leave the other one.
Well, see, this is a California thing, because you guys are always getting sun.
Yeah.
In the East Coast, you don't mind losing that hour because that's a signal that spring is here.
We only care about ourselves. Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel. Are you sad that the video is over? Well, never be sad.
Alright, so, yeah, I forgot that was there at the end of that, so gave Jimmy Kimmel a little bit of a plug, but whatever. Okay, so, interesting things there. I think the thing that I thought was the most humorous about that was the fact that the Secret Service apparently calls him Renegade. They usually do give them code names, but I've never actually heard his before. I'm not sure if they call him that because they think it's funny, or if it might have something to do with the picture of him riding a girl's bike in mom jeans. Probably the girl's bike in mom jeans. Just saying. Alright, so one last little clip and then we're going to wind things down. This one, not so much funny, but it does give you a little bit of insight into our current president and why he thinks Washington isn't working.
I know you're here in town partially asking people for money, which seems like you should stop doing. You're only here another 2 years. Who cares?
It is not for me.
I know it's not for you. Even more reason not to do it. I know you're here in town partially asking people for money, which seems like you should stop doing. You're only here another 2 years. Who cares?
It is not for me.
I know it's not for you. Even more reason not to do it.
We got to keep folks going. There's going to be another election, and the main purpose really is just to make sure that people turn out. I mean, the last election we had about a third of eligible voters voting, and just trying to work harder to figure out how we can get people engaged.
We had an election here in L.A. last week, I think, and something like 8% of the registered voters voted in it.
Well, and I talked about this this weekend at Selma. You have folks who risk their lives to make sure we all had the right to vote. And we give away our power all the time. And, everybody's so frustrated with Washington, including yours truly.
We're also very busy with Facebook. You have to, that's really...
But the point is that the reason Washington does not work is because two-thirds of us who should be active aren't active, and as a consequence, special interests and big money ends up, moving a lot of the agenda and driving gridlock.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel. Are you sad that the video?
Okay, no plug for you this time, Jimmy. For once, I have to say I almost agree with him. I know that hurts. I even almost threw up in my mouth a little bit, I think, there. No, definitely threw up in my mouth a little bit there. But the biggest problem that we have is that two-thirds of our population are not politically engaged. If they were, I have a feeling things would be a lot different. Not sure if they would be different good or different bad, but at least people would be engaged. Maybe they would start paying better attention and then be able to make more informed decisions. The problem is, anytime you get into any type of a discussion with a true, full-on millennial version of a liberal, otherwise known as a socialist who thinks they know everything, anytime you as a conservative start trying to talk to them about anything, usually what you get is, oh, you're just a dumbass, go away. Again, though, that doesn't necessarily just extend to that particular age. So, alright, so at this point, that is going to about do it for this particular episode of America Off the Rails. Do again want to give a couple of shout-outs here, starting at 7. You will hear, well, pretty close to 7 anyway, you will hear a replay of the Right War with Liz and Taylor. Unfortunately, I guess Liz has been under the weather. She hasn't been sending me shows lately, and I am kind of running out of replay episodes to play. So we haven't been airing her for the last couple of days. Want to give her a bit of a shout out. Hope that if she is under the weather that she's feeling better soon. She does this 5 times, 6, 7, 8 times a week, kind of like I do. So sometimes you just have to take a break, and I do understand that. So I do hope she is doing well. We will have The Right Angle on at 8 o'clock live this evening. And then right after that, we have Game On with JD and Stacy. So make sure you're staying tuned for the rest of the evening right here on K98 Talk. And don't forget, tomorrow I will be back with you starting at 6. We will have, Grouchy. That's right, Grouchy on at 7. These times are central, of course, so 7 Eastern and then 8 Eastern. Then we will have a replay of Polita-Bunny. And if you're listening to my voice right now, or you hear this through podcast in time, spread the word. I want not only the chat as full as possible for tomorrow for her, but I want the numbers to be numbers that she's never seen before. Just so that we can show her that not only social media still needs her, but so do we. I mean, and ultimately, it's going to be her decision, but I at least want to show her the support that I feel like she deserves. That being said, once tomorrow's episode of the replay of Money is done, we will have Jason DeWilkins live. I do believe I am at least producing and possibly maybe co-hosting with him again. Not sure on that yet. And then Thursday, which has become one of my favorite days of the week, we now have really cool stuff back to back to back to back. We have yours truly, not the reason why it's my favorite, trust me. Then we have the premiere of Red Nation Rising, and then we have the Thursday episode of Game On with JD and Stacy. 7 Central, or 7 Eastern, 8 Eastern, and 9 Eastern respectively. So make sure you tune in basically Monday through Thursday. If you're not here, I don't know what's the matter with you, because we've got some of the best content on radio right now, and we're in talks to bring some folks in to fill in a couple of the spaces that we do have, and also to see if we can get folks into those Friday time slots. So hopefully soon we will have Monday through Friday completely locked in and sewn up for you to be your weekend or your weeknight entertainment for political talk right here on K98Talk.com. Alright, so that's going to do it for this particular episode, folks. I will be back with you tomorrow, hopefully as close to my usual start time as possible. However, again, bear in mind, my day job and this show time are pretty close together, so occasionally they will conflict, but I will be here as soon as I can. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. Don't forget, in an hour, well, a little over an hour, we have The Right Angle and then Game On with JD and Stacy. You guys take care and God bless. Oh yeah, I forgot. This is the one that I cut so I could talk over it. Anyway, folks, you guys have a great night. This is Rick Robinson, host of America Off the Rails. I'll be back with you tomorrow.
Distribute when we make our pay tax. Hey, sit down. Don't.